What was like the other day when Grandma goes to Noah, can you talk without moving your hands?
Nope.
And he goes, nope, but I can pray.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Matt and Fiona Show. Thank you so much for joining us. We are so happy that you are here. As always, just a quick reminder, do your best. Please help us out. Subscribe to the channel wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to our social stuff because that helps us reach more people. Get the word out there on whatever we're talking about. Which today we have a title, unlike last week. But I moved it. Yes. Don't let external events steal your joy. Which is, oh man, that's
Sometimes harder
than others. Like the last little bit, it's been a little drama filled. Not here per se, but globally.
Yes.
It's been a little fun. But yeah, so we're gonna get right into that. Right now off the bat, I don't think I need to give a big explanation of where this comes from.
I don't think so either.
Other than I will give the personal example of the fact that if you know me, you probably are aware that I am a huge history buff and I'm a news junkie. So when I couple those two things together, life can get more than a little entertaining, especially in today's current climate right now, to the point of, and I'm not going to say it steals my joy per se, but I can find myself in a funk.
You have to be very aware of how it affects.
Of how much content I am taking in, especially in the tumultuous time of elections and currently, Eastern European,
getting frustrated with things that unfortunately you have zero control over.
Middle Eastern conflicts, politics as usual in North America, all those fun things. Because I do really enjoy all of it. Not the conflict side of it, but just following
the information side of it.
Yes. And I am someone who, if I spend too much time going down a wormhole on one of these topics, a lot of times it can get quite depressing. Again, I don't get depressed. Don't make it weird. But it is one of those things. It's shocking how easy it is, even for someone who has as strong of a personality as I typically do. I can be negatively affected if I consume too much of those external things.
We all can. But yes,
Thanks
it's
for not
true.
just throwing me under that bus.
I'm not just. I'm throwing you on the bus with everybody else.
Everybody's
getting thrown under the bus.
And I think there's a lot of places we could take this, but I think kind of the first thing to remember is that, especially when it comes to external events,
right?
They don't actually really affect you. And thus, if you can pull yourself away from it for a bit and just check out of it, not actively involve yourself in it.
Yep.
You can calm yourself down a lot. You can bring yourself out of it a lot if you can tune out so much of that noise. Right? I've never had to go to the extreme level of like deleting an app off my phone.
Right.
Because I'm too addicted to it.
Right.
But
you do have self-control in that regard.
Yes. But sometimes I have to exercise a whole lot more self-control.
Yes.
To not continually pop onto, whatever either news site I'm on or social media, Twitter, X, whatever they're calling it these days, platform to follow whatever event is going on. There are times when I can, like a little while ago, when the Israeli issue conflict with them and Hamas was very, very big. I tuned out of a couple podcasts that I typically listen to because it was just too much.
Right.
And as much as I wanted to hear different people's take on it and their commentary and their, thoughts on what's going on and all this other jazz, it was just a lot.
There was too much noise.
There was a lot.
A lot of noise.
And by tuning it out and going to something else, I don't get caught up in it as much. And I think there is
enough to be informed, yet not overboard to become obsessed.
Exactly. And I think that is one of those things that we as a society are arguably not very good at.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to figure out that it was happening as much as I didn't think it was affecting me as much as it was. And when some of the politics stuff of the last 2 years kind of became more and more at the forefront, that's when I really picked up on it. Right. But also there was more content. So it was easier to engross yourself in it to a higher level. And I think if you're able to recognize that, if you're able to see that you're caught up in something, knowing that is the first hill to climb. The second hill is to find a way to deal with it. And the ability to, that was a child who should be asleep, and I'm not going to cut this, so hopefully one day they'll hear this. I think that's the time point or the point in life where you need to be able to take that third step or climb that third hill, which is actually disconnect from it.
Yes.
To some level. And I know that's hard for a lot of people, but what I've found works for me is I replace it with something else.
Well, I was going to say, because I purposefully do not like to get involved in that kind of stuff. And I have found, it sounds silly, but I have found.
Yes, tell me more.
You know this.
Yeah, I do.
But I have found either searching for things to do with my kids, especially since I teach them.
Yes.
And different learning styles and teaching styles. I get myself engrossed in that. Or I'll get myself engrossed in cooking and find new recipes and whatnot. So I've kind of engrossed myself in things that I find to engross myself kind of in stuff that is going to benefit our family and benefit us, and gardening and canning.
Yes.
Right? And learning how to do some of that stuff. And I've taken myself out of a lot of the stuff that I don't like to take on that I might find causes anxiety or whatnot. And I've kind of directed it towards stuff that's going to be beneficial. Now, this being said, I think it is very important to be informed.
Oh, yeah.
Now, in this case, I also say to him, honey, let me know when I need to know stuff. So I don't want to not know, obviously, but I also want to ensure that I kind of keep myself safe and protected because I know me. And I want to know what I need to know. So obviously I know there's stuff going on. That's not the case. But I try to keep out of a lot of stuff, but I always make sure that he knows that if there's something I need to know, I'm probably not going to get to it for a while.
I'll tell you.
So
I'll tell you what's going on.
He'll tell me. And that really works.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit more of a peace and there's a little bit more just comfort when I'm not bombarded with external factors.
Yeah. And it's really easy to just share the aspect of this that affects me.
Right.
Right. Because it's not, for all intents and purposes, it's not that big of a deal. Right. I'm low-key addicted to politics and news. Right. So
but on a healthy, respectful level, because you have a desire to understand and know what's going on.
It's a big interest.
And it always has been.
But what I'm getting at is that there's, following the recent patent court case between two of the big audio companies, which again
I know
is a news
nothing
thing
about.
that I thoroughly enjoy.
Right.
It
But not something you feel you need to share with me.
no, but it's also not. There's no direct impact on me,
Right.
right? Other than I sell one of them, but that's no big deal. But if you want to flip this topic a little bit, and I didn't prep you for this at all, so we'll see where this goes.
Okay.
There is a lot of external things that affect some adults, but mostly kids and teenagers, right? And it's really easy for me to sit here. Yeah, because I'm not
Sit
standing
here.
up.
No, you're not.
No,
We're sitting
it's really easy
on
for,
our couch
Shut
in
it.
our living room.
It's really easy. I'm glad we do this in one take. Because otherwise I cut this and they'd have no idea. It's really easy to sit here and talk about how simple it is for me to change up the podcast I'm listening to, so I'm not getting overwhelmed with, wars and rumors of wars, right? It's really easy for me to change it and get away from some of the politics for a little bit and listen to a hunting one or, whatever else, a golf podcast,
Right.
which there are. And some of them are very
Again,
good.
stuff I didn't know until right this moment.
Oh, yes. Oh,
We don't need to go there.
Subpar is awesome.
Okay, great. Moving on.
Moving on. But if you are a teenager in school or even a elementary age child, because I believe this affects them as well.
Yeah.
There's a large amount of, external things that pop up in their lives and in their feeds and in their DMs and their inboxes that affect them way more than any of the things that we've previously talked about in regards to me.
Yeah.
Right. And I've gotten, over the course of all the years that I've done press and media stuff, I've gotten a handful of questionable inbox responses from people who took issue with something I said
Oh, yeah, you have.
and again, feel free to send me more. Most of the time it's just funny to me. But they don't affect me the way that they might have affected me as a 10-year-old kid.
Right.
Right, in high school, right? Or
14, 15-year-old kid.
Whatever.
In high school. It's okay. Back.
I think it's very important that as adults, as parents, not only do we share that, hey, we struggle with this stuff too, right? Trying to be involved, trying to be apprised of what's going on,
Yep.
right? That desire to know what's being said about whatever or said about you. The desire to know that is fine, but it's always a big factor of working really hard to not let what's going on out in the world, what's going on, what people are saying about you, to you, behind your back, to your friends, to their friends, not letting that affect you as much, not letting that steal your joy.
Yep.
And, I think as adults, kids go through a lot of things that we don't necessarily have anything that we can compare it to.
Well, one of the things is, back in the day when I was a kid, I don't think that plays anymore for the sheer fact of back in the day when we were a kid, we didn't have social media.
No. The worst that would happen is somebody would graffiti a locker about you.
Or
write
spread
a note,
or spread a rumor.
Which would take forever to get anywhere.
Yes.
Because, not everyone had long distance. And across the street was long distance at the time. I think that if we can, as parents, obviously not only deal with this ourselves and how it affects us, because there's a lot of
and
adults,
recognize that it can affect us.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of adults that deal with this as well. And this was not where I was planning to take this at all, but
I didn't think so, but here we go. It's a good point, though.
But I think if we can, show our kids and talk to our kids about the fact that this affects us too, right? if we post a picture of ourselves and somebody makes fun of us, we're going to feel bad the same way that our kids would if they did the same.
Right. Or recognizing that, I mean, one of the things that I always come back to in dealing with, whether it's youth, young adults, or whatever, is we're responsible for ourselves. Somebody else's bad action or bad attitude is more a reflection of them than it is of yourself. And I know that that's a hard thing to take on or understand, but literally had a conversation with one of our youth 2 weeks ago about, them being given a difficult time because they don't participate in certain aspects of what is going on during high school. And all of a sudden, they didn't think that he was such a nice guy because he didn't want to participate in certain activities or whatnot. And the biggest thing was recognizing that realizing that somebody else's actions and decisions don't determine you. And it's a hard thing to understand and grasp, especially when you're a teenager. But somebody else's actions and reactions are more a reflection of them. And I think that's a really big point.
Well, and getting to the stage where you can recognize that what somebody else says about you shouldn't have any impact on what you think about you.
Yes, or the actual truth about you. People's thoughts and comments don't change truth.
No. And to bring it back to the concept that we were talking about, or the direct concept that we were talking about, is that when all of these external things are stealing your joy, right? Your situation, you're getting down in the dumps. Like, I had a bit of a rough day today. It was just tough.
Yeah.
And nothing major went bad. Nothing was wrong, per se. It was just tough.
Life.
And I was fighting all day long to not just be like in a depressed, angry mood all day. Right? And I mostly succeeded, I think. But
I knew you were fighting through it, but you were trying to fight through it.
But it's one of those things where I didn't do a lot of the things that I normally do today because I was fighting through that. Right? And I knew that if I listened to the same stuff that I normally listen to all day long, it was not going to help me in that situation because I was already dealing with some external stuff. Right? So I went and listened to some other stuff that had less of a chance to, I don't want to say depress me further, but for lack of a better term, depress me further. Right. And keep me more on edge. So I changed up what I was listening to. And honestly didn't listen to much of anything.
Right.
But I was able to, even just a minor level, get into the word a little bit and pull myself out of the funk a little bit. And again, it wasn't like I went and found a couple verses that directly spoke against what I was dealing with.
Right.
It was just getting my mind right and getting it focused more upright instead of the garbage that I was dealing with around me.
Right.
Right. And trying to not just stew in that.
Yes.
But keep my head up and looking forward and moving forward.
Yep.
To get further along and get out of that. And again, not let that external thing steal
your joy.
Yeah. And I think that's really, heck, I've been doing this a long time. It's harder to accomplish than it is to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? It's really easy.
It's much easier said than done.
Very much so. It is one of those things where I think if we can get some, whether it's music, whether it's scripture, whether it's teaching, whether it's a speaker that you listen to, I think having something that you can kind of easily go back to is very helpful for helping you recognize when you're in it and putting something on or to focus on
Mhm.
that can pull you out of it.
And I think everybody's going to manage and handle it differently, and everybody's going to need different things.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I need to stop all things.
Yeah.
I need to almost come to a halt. So when external factors start to seemingly affect me, and sometimes it just comes from pure exhaustion and not being able to handle the monumental tasks in front of me, or, dealing with a kid who's sick, which it hurts a mama's heart sometimes, and
Mm-hmm.
or I'm not getting sleep because it doesn't matter, right?
You don't sleep much?
We're not talking about that right now. But the way you have to handle it,
Mm-hmm.
and honestly, even the way I have to handle you while you're going through it is different than the way I need you to handle me
Oh, we are complete opposites in that world.
when I go through it. But I need to almost come to a halt, and I need to, I don't know, almost completely step and walk away from everything.
Oh, you do. You are somebody who, and again, this is the comedic side of life, right? And the old saying of opposites attract.
Right.
Because in most things, we're incredibly similar.
Yeah.
But in this case, you need complete silence
Yes.
and you need to fully disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
And complete silence
For you.
is the worst thing in the world for me.
Yes. No, again, not to say I don't know my scriptures, not to say that sometimes I won't put on praise, but like there's times I don't even want praise and worship on. I literally need to remove and we have praise and worship music playing a lot.
What's going on in two different rooms right now?
Yeah, it is going into
Just not in this one because we're recording.
But I need to silence myself completely. I need to almost just pull away from everything and silence. And then kind of work myself back into life. But, I'll have like 1 or 2 or 3 scriptures that I'm like, okay, I just need to remind myself of this. But everybody is going to be different.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is, I think this is why this is a big one, regardless of what's going on in life currently right now and in this world and everything. It doesn't matter what it is. This is something everybody can relate to. Absolutely everybody has external factors on a daily basis that can still their joy.
Yep.
Heck, a kid can all have a temper tantrum. Out of nowhere, we can be having a great day. And even though the day has been wonderful, that temper
they
tantrum
can have a meltdown.
will, if I'm not careful at that moment, steal my joy. Right? Or a kid can get hurt while we're doing something and it can steal my joy. Right? You have a car breakdown.
There's so many things.
Every single day there is something minor and minute to extreme. Yeah, to extreme that can steal your joy. And it is something that is a part of every single day of our lives if we are not careful. And we need to recognize kind of what we need in order to ensure our joy isn't stolen. And this is a scripture that, has popped off that I've probably quoted quite a few times, but pastors used it and it has stuck with me. And it says, in the presence of God is the fullness of joy.
Yep.
And that always is just that reminder of, okay, wait, he's filled with joy. He wants joy for us. And he knows we're going to go. Like, I always go through this. Do you not think that God did not know that you were going to have a rough day? Or do you not think that God didn't recognize or realize that every day is not going to be, heaven on earth? He knew this, but he also knew what we needed.
Yeah.
And through it, we're going to have bad days and hard days and rough moments within a day. But we need to kind of find having our joy stolen makes it that much worse and it makes it that much harder. And we need to be careful we don't kind of fall down a wormhole which is easy to do.
Oh, yeah.
If we're not careful, because the further away we get from joy, sometimes the harder it is to get back, or the longer
longer it takes.
The longer we remain in a bad place, so to speak.
Yeah, if you're, and again, picking on myself, right? I will do that in a politics realm
Right.
very easily.
Mm-hmm.
I will catch some article about something that leads me to another one,
Right.
that leads me to another one,
And you
four
find
more,
out too much
and then I'll
information.
find more stuff, and then I'll find, something else that backs up half of it, and then I'll find one that doesn't, and I'll go try to figure out how that one didn't. And it's recognizing and getting to the point where I can see for myself of, okay, I'm going a little deep on this,
Right.
and kind of put it to the test of, one, do I need to know this?
Mm.
And the answer is always yes. No.
My answer is always no.
Do I need to know this? Is this going to affect me
Right.
in a variety of ways?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because there's all kinds of ways that anything could affect you.
Mm-hmm.
But is this going to, essentially, for lack of a better term, is this going to depress me?
Mm-hmm.
Is this going to make me mad?
Right.
Is this going to do all of those things?
Affect you negatively.
Yeah. Is it going to cause all of these other reactions and responses that I don't need to have?
Mm-hmm.
I don't need something to make me mad.
Yep.
Now, in my case, it's good. I like to know what's going on.
I think
so. It's a challenge.
I think it's, but again, you handle things way differently.
Yes, it's a tightrope to walk,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also recognizing that I know which veins I can go down
Mm-hmm.
and not have them overly affect me.
Right.
I also know which ones I just need to skim the wave tops.
So you have information.
So I know what's going on.
You have
because
knowledge.
I like to know that.
Yeah.
But it's not going to frustrate me or annoy me to the point where it's affecting other aspects of my life.
Right.
Right. And I haven't fully figured it out, but I'm really close, I think.
I think you've definitely improved and done much better. But I appreciate it because I can't handle those things, but I still want to know. And I have that innate desire to know, but I can't handle things. I find I get highly affected by things way more than you do.
Yep.
I'm a little sensitive at times in certain things. I said it, not you, but it's okay. I'm also not sensitive at the same time, so it's a weird balance. Anyway.
Also didn't comment on that.
Okay. Anyways, but I do appreciate, that's why I've always said information I need to know, I want to know.
Yeah.
Because I do want to be informed. And so this works very well.
Yeah, it's a good fit.
It's a good thing.
It's
Good
a very
fit.
good thing.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh gosh. We do all of these late at night.
I think they know this by now.
They might be new.
Oh, this is true. If you are new, yes, we do this very late at night.
And welcome. No.
Yeah. Glad to have you with us.
But again, just as we wrap it up, I think it's important to recognize that external things will affect you,
Mm-hmm.
right? No matter how much you think that they don't, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your mood, the way you interact with people, the way you treat your kids, your spouse, your pastor, your friends,
Yes.
all of that, a lot of times.
Yourself.
Yeah. Oh, very much so.
Very much so.
Can be affected by external things. And there are external things that affect you negatively, and there's external things that affect you positively.
Mm-hmm.
And like a couple of weeks ago, we were out of town for a couple of days, and we spent some time with a variety of people.
Yes.
But we got to have lunch with, well, actually twice, with two different people.
Yeah.
That are awesome. And honestly, they're external, right? They're not in our day-to-day life.
Mm-hmm.
But man, both of them in different ways, it was really good for us to hang out with them.
Yes.
And spend some time, right? They affected us very positively.
Absolutely.
Right. And hopefully we did the same. But then on the flip side, I read a bunch of stuff while we were away that, had I not been guarding myself, would have affected me very negatively.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's recognizing, A, that those things happen.
Yep.
Right. And then B, putting up some safeguards so that you don't wear yourself down and break yourself down.
Yeah.
And knowing how to pull yourself out of it when you start to go down that path. Because the point of being fine and the point of it wearing you down and stealing your joy, it happens very quickly.
Yeah, if you're
Right?
especially if you're not careful.
Yeah, it's not a real slow decline. So I think I just wanted to encourage mostly myself to remember to guard how much you let external things affect you. And when external things are affecting you negatively, there are some really easy ways, which we talked about, to limit that.
Not allow your joy to be stolen as easily. Because, and joy is, joy is much different than happiness.
Mm-hmm.
We can hold on to our joy.
Yeah.
Even through the difficult times, right?
Yeah.
Because in his presence is fullness of joy, right? So it doesn't matter what's going on. We can still hold our joy if we keep our eyes on him. We're in this world, but we're not of this world. And happiness is more so dictated by events.
Yep.
So a present will make us happy. But, we can still maintain joy even through hard things.
Yeah.
Harder to do. We need to work on it. But external factors.
It's also pure.
It is way,
right?
That is a very good term for it.
And as soon as you started to say that, and I thought we were done. As soon as you started to say that, I was thinking of our youngest, right? And he got a toy the other day.
Oh my goodness. So cute.
And he loves this thing.
Yes.
He's been having so much fun. He was very happy when he got it. And he's happy when he gets, honestly, almost anything.
Yeah.
Right? But the happiness he had when he got it, when he was in the store and he bought it and got to put it in the cart and put it in his own bag and all those things, he was incredibly happy. But when he got home and took it out and learned how to drive it,
yeah,
and it's a remote control car, if you were wondering.
Yes.
His joy level was extremely evident. And he was happy when he got it.
Yes.
Right? And very close to joy. But he hadn't experienced how much fun he was going to have actually playing with it.
Right.
It was just a cool thing in a box. When he got that thing opened and started to drive it around the living room and then the kitchen.
And then the hallway.
And then the bathroom, then down the stairs. That was a level of joy, which is specific. Like, there was a reason why we titled this, don't let external things steal your joy. We didn't say happiness.
Yes.
Right? We said joy on purpose. And I think if we can find, definitely don't let external things steal your joy. But if we can find more things that make us joyful, and prioritize those in our lives, we will, be much happier.
Right.
Right? But it's...
We will notice that external factors won't affect us as deeply.
Yeah.
If we can find our joy, maintain our joy.
And don't let anything steal it.
Because they'll vary, but the joy of the Lord is our strength.
Yep. It's not the happiness of the Lord.
No, it's not. No, it's not that. The joy of the Lord is our strength. So there's strength in finding joy, and in His presence is fullness of joy. He wants us to be joyful. He's given us all things to be joyful, and events and circumstances might try to steal them.
Well, and if they do, if you let them
fight back for it,
well, it makes you weaker.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So we've got to do everything we can to maintain our joy, to grow our joy, to increase our joy, which will make us stronger.
Yes.
Right? In Him. So we're going to wrap it there.
Yes.
Otherwise, we'll find another tangent to drive down like a remote control car. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. If you didn't, don't send us anything. But if you did, give us a thumbs up. No. If you get a chance, please subscribe, follow, connect with us. I'd actually love to do like an AMA, take some audience questions,
Oh yeah.
which we've sort of talked about. So maybe we'll post something about that.
Yep.
But if you get a chance, as I mentioned, please subscribe, please follow, please connect with us. We'd love to hear from you.
Always.
And we'll see you next week for another episode of the Matt and Fiona Show.